Who knew that the biggest mistake we would make in our motorhome wouldn't be out on the road on our travels, but would simply be by putting the motorhome back in storage? Well, we learned a very hard, well actually quite a soft lesson, if we're being honest, very quickly. Now, the storage centre we use for our motorhomes is located in the countryside. It houses over 500 caravans and motorhomes in a secure compound, but was once farmland. Now, there is easy and firm access in and out of this storage with the roadways and the gravel, but at the time the owners had not made all the pitches hard standing. So therefore we had a double pathway of pavers in alignment with the wheels, which we used with both our previous caravans and the Bailey autograph that we had at the time. And in most cases the pitches are back to back, so one caravan motorhome backs onto each other. Now, this was back in January 2022, so just over 2 years ago, and we'd had a cheeky weekend in the Caravan and Motorhome Club site at Cherry Hinton that had proved to be just the tonic post-Christmas, post-New Year, perfect access into Cambridge, and for long walks around Cherry Hinton, down to the local pubs actually, and a nice unwind and relax. But this was soon to be undone. Now, Cambridge is not too far from home and it's not too far from our storage. But on this occasion, Jamie had been driving back and we'd had a steady saunter back up the A1. There'd been some rain in the previous weeks, but this weekend had been particularly dry. Now, in all the years of us using this pitch, even with the caravans, we had never in effect driven through from the pitch behind us. Often it was never vacant. And even when it was, we still reversed our caravan or motorhome in. You get used to doing that. However, in a random moment of wanting to get stored and back home, because we'd got plans that evening, the vacant pitch was there and we decided we were going to drive through. This was a big mistake. Huge, calamitous. So we drove down to the pitch and around as we saw we could get through. Now, as the motorhome dropped off the end of the pavers from the pitch behind, and with only a metre or so to go to get to our pavers, the front tyres entered the grass. Now, this was in an almost slow motion, movie style type movement because the tyres did not move easily forwards over the grass, but they slowly started sinking. We went forward a touch, they were sinking more. And where before long we were half a metre short of our slabs, the tyres were going down in this wet grass. There was no going forwards, no going backwards. And the only way was to try and find some traction at the front, which we eventually did with the aid of some timbers and some slabs and some gravel we could find nearby. Now, you learn a hard lesson sometimes because at this stage, we should have engaged our brains and used this grey matter. And what we should have done was to go back onto the pitch behind us. But in that sheer panic, we continued to try and go forwards. Now you probably know what's coming. The rear tyres then hit the grass, and with the underslung spare tyre carrier and that sinking feeling, we were truly wedged. There was nowhere to go and nothing we could do with the front tyres spinning. How on earth we were going to fix this? We needed then a knight in shining armour, and thankfully Pete, the site owner, was around that day and he did have a small tractor. Note, small. So a little bit of begging and pleading, although he did admit later that this is not the first time he has done this, meant he would come and help. But a small tractor against a 3.5 ton motorhome became a bit of a David and Goliath situation. And an hour of digging slopes, unblocking the spare tyre, filling the tracks with gravel and tugging with a mini tractor eventually freed us from the mire. One long mistake and a very muddy motorhome and its owners was the end result. Now, the lesson learned here is reverse in. We do it all the time and you've got no excuse not to. Now, the site is now all hard standing and this will never be repeated again. But I guess don't ever trust a strip of grass as being strong enough for the motorhome. We now always do hard standing on campsites we go to because we are very nervous of doing anything other. This shall not be repeated, ever. We learned some other things from this too, like where the Peugeot toolkit was hidden in the vehicle and how to attach the towing hook to the front bumper. But the biggest sense of relief was the most important thing, that our pride and joy, we eventually got out of this pickle where it should be, cleaned up and back on the road again. That was our biggest motorhome mistake. I'll drop some pictures in for you and you can see the mess we really did get into. And there's a lovely picture of the little old 1960s tractor that Pete had got trying to pull us out, and you can see where he'd been wheel spinning too. And I'll drop those in now for you to have a look at. So thanks for all your subscribes and likes. Please keep those coming because, again, it's really heartwarming to see that you are enjoying some of these videos. And we'll see you in our next one. Take care.